If someone told you that the life you worked so hard to build was slowly destroying you from the inside, would you even believe them? Would you recognize the signs, or would you dismiss them as stress, exhaustion, or just another phase you have to push through? Fight Club opens with this disturbing idea, not through explosions or violence, but through silence, numbness, and a man who has everything society tells him he should want, yet feels absolutely nothing inside. The story follows an unnamed narrator, a man whose identity is so empty that even his name feels unnecessary. He works a stable corporate job that pays well, offers benefits, and promises security. His days are predictable, organized, and painfully repetitive. Airports, hotel rooms, conference calls, and office cubicles blur together until time itself loses meaning. His life is not difficult, but it is lifeless. He exists in a constant state of emotional detachment, moving through routines without ever questioning why he follows them. At home, his apartment is perfectly curated. Every piece of furniture, every lamp, every plate has been carefully selected from catalogs designed to sell not just products, but identities. He believes these objects define who he is. He believes owning the right things will make him complete, respected, and fulfilled. Yet the more he surrounds himself with material comfort, the more distant he feels from his own existence. His apartment is beautiful, but it feels like a showroom, not a home. It reflects success, but not meaning. This emotional emptiness eventually manifests physically through severe insomnia. The narrator cannot sleep, no matter how exhausted he is. Nights stretch endlessly, and days feel unreal. Conversations feel distant, sounds feel muted, and reality begins to fracture. He feels as if his life is happening to someone else. His body is present, but his mind is drifting. This lack of sleep slowly erodes his sense of identity, blurring the line between what is real and what is imagined. Desperate for relief, the narrator seeks medical help, hoping for understanding. Instead, he is told that insomnia is not a real problem. That pain must be physical to matter.
Chow collection.
No, you can't die from insomnia.
This dismissal highlights one of the film's most important themes. Emotional suffering is invisible, and because it is invisible, it is often ignored. Society recognizes broken bones, but dismisses broken minds. This realization pushes the narrator toward a disturbing solution. He begins attending support groups for people suffering from terminal illnesses. These rooms are filled with raw emotion, fear, grief, and acceptance. People cry openly, embrace strangers, and confront the reality of death. Surrounded by individuals who are facing the end of their lives, the narrator finally allows himself to feel something real. He cries in the arms of strangers, releasing years of suppressed emotion. In these moments of borrowed pain, his insomnia disappears. Emotional honesty, even when based on a lie, gives him peace.
Babies don't sleep this well.
This false healing continues until he meets Marla Singer. Marla is a reflection of his own deception. She attends the same support groups without belonging there, exposing the narrator's lies simply by existing. Her presence destroys the illusion that allowed him to escape reality. With Marla around, he can no longer pretend. She becomes a constant reminder that his emotional release is artificial. As a result, his insomnia returns stronger than ever, and his mental stability begins to collapse. Everything changes when the narrator meets Tyler Durden. Tyler is everything the narrator is not. He is confident, charismatic, fearless, and completely detached from societal expectations. Tyler works meaningless jobs without caring about status. He rejects materialism and openly criticizes a system that convinces people to measure their worth through money, possessions, and job titles. Tyler speaks uncomfortable truths about modern life, exposing the emptiness behind consumer culture. Tyler believes society raises people to believe they are unique and destined for greatness, only to trap them in mediocrity. This contradiction creates a generation of individuals who feel cheated, angry, and lost. According to Tyler, people are not their jobs, their cars, or their bank accounts. They are not the brands they wear or the things they own. This philosophy resonates deeply with the narrator, awakening emotions he has suppressed for years. Their connection feels immediate, almost unnatural. Tyler understands the narrator in ways no one else ever has. He gives voice to thoughts the narrator was too afraid to acknowledge. Through Tyler, the narrator experiences a version of himself that feels alive instead of invisible. Tyler represents freedom, rebellion, and authenticity, offering an escape from a life defined by rules and expectations. Soon after meeting Tyler, the narrator returns home to find his apartment destroyed by an explosion. In a single moment, everything he believed defined him is gone. All the objects he once valued are reduced to rubble. This loss is devastating, but also strangely liberating. Without his possessions, he has nothing left to protect. With nowhere else to go, he calls Tyler. They move into an abandoned house on the outskirts of the city. The house is decaying, unstable, and filled with rot. Pipes leak, lights flicker, and the structure itself feels unsafe. Yet this chaos feels more honest than the polished life the narrator left behind. The house becomes a physical representation of his internal collapse. It is uncomfortable, dangerous, and real. One night, outside a bar, Tyler asks the narrator to hit him as hard as he can. What begins as hesitation quickly turns into violence. Blood spills, bones ache, and pain cuts through numbness. For the first time in years, the narrator feels fully present in his body. Pain forces him into the moment, stripping away all distractions. This fight attracts attention, and others want to experience the same release. This moment marks the birth of Fight Club. Men begin gathering underground to fight, not to win, but to feel alive. In this space, jobs, status, and social expectations disappear. Pain becomes the great equalizer. Fight Club offers something society does not: honesty. Physical pain replaces emotional repression. For many of these men, Fight Club becomes the only place where they feel understood, respected, and real. As Fight Club grows, it evolves from a personal outlet into a shared identity. Men return week after week, drawn to the raw intensity of physical confrontation. However, what begins as liberation slowly shifts into obsession. Tyler's influence grows stronger, and his speeches become more extreme. He begins pushing ideas that go beyond personal freedom and toward collective destruction. Fight Club transforms into Project Mayhem, an organized movement built on chaos, discipline, and obedience. Members abandon their names, their individuality, and their personal identities. They exist only to serve the mission. What once felt like freedom now demands total submission. The rebellion that promised meaning begins to mirror the very systems it claimed to oppose. The narrator begins losing control. He experiences blackouts, memory gaps, and moments of confusion. He discovers evidence of actions he does not remember committing. As he tries to stop Project Mayhem, he realizes that Tyler is always one step ahead, manipulating events beyond his reach. Slowly, the truth becomes unavoidable. Tyler Durden is not real. He is a split personality created from the narrator's suppressed anger, dissatisfaction, and desire for control. Tyler is everything the narrator wishes he could be, manifested as a psychological escape from responsibility. Fight Club was never about freedom. It was about avoiding pain through destruction. The realization that Tyler Durden is not real forces the narrator to confront the truth he has been running from since the beginning. Tyler is not an external force, not a revolutionary leader, and not a savior. He is a psychological creation born from years of repression, frustration, and emotional neglect. Every act of chaos, every violent speech, and every destructive plan was carried out by the narrator himself, even if he could not remember doing it. Tyler exists because the narrator needed him to exist. This revelation reframes the entire story. Fight Club was never about brotherhood or freedom. It was about escape. Tyler allowed the narrator to reject responsibility while still feeling powerful. Through Tyler, he could act on impulses he was too afraid to acknowledge. Tyler took control whenever the narrator felt weak, confused, or overwhelmed. In this sense, Tyler represents unchecked masculinity, rage without accountability, and rebellion without self-awareness. As the narrator pieces together the truth, he realizes the full extent of Project Mayhem. What began as an underground outlet for emotional release has grown into a dangerous, militarized organization operating beyond his control. The members no longer question orders. They no longer think independently. They have surrendered their identities entirely. The irony is impossible to ignore. A movement that claimed to reject systems of control has become one of the most rigid systems imaginable. The narrator tries desperately to undo the damage. He travels across cities, attempting to shut down Project Mayhem cells, only to discover that Tyler's influence is everywhere. Wherever he goes, people recognize him as Tyler. They listen to him, obey him, and trust him completely. This realization is terrifying. He is no longer chasing Tyler. He is chasing himself. At the core of this breakdown is a central truth about identity. The narrator created Tyler because he could not reconcile who he was with who he believed he needed to be. Society told him to be successful, calm, polite, and productive. Tyler was everything society told him not to be. Aggressive, fearless, defiant, unapologetic. Instead of integrating these aspects into a balanced identity, the narrator split himself in two. This psychological fracture speaks to a deeper issue in modern life. Many people feel pressured to suppress parts of themselves to function within social systems. Anger is discouraged. Vulnerability is mocked. Emotional expression is seen as weakness. Over time, these suppressed emotions do not disappear. They accumulate. They demand release. Fight Club suggests that when these feelings are ignored for too long, they can manifest in destructive ways. The narrator's relationship with Marla becomes increasingly important during this collapse. Marla represents reality, imperfection, and emotional honesty. She is chaotic, damaged, and deeply flawed, yet she is real in a way that Tyler never was. Unlike Tyler, Marla does not offer escape. She offers connection. She forces the narrator to confront his pain instead of hiding from it. Throughout the film, the narrator avoids genuine intimacy. He seeks release through pain, control, and destruction rather than vulnerability. Marla challenges this avoidance. She sees through his lies and calls him out when he hides behind false identities. While Tyler thrives on chaos, Marla survives through honesty, even when it hurts. As Project Mayhem prepares for its final act, the narrator understands that stopping Tyler requires more than physical resistance. He cannot fight Tyler because Tyler is him. He cannot outrun him because Tyler exists inside his mind. The only way to end Tyler's control is to accept responsibility for everything he represents. In the film's most critical moment, the narrator makes a desperate decision. He shoots himself, not as an act of suicide, but as an act of psychological integration. By harming himself, he disrupts the illusion that Tyler is separate from him. This act symbolically destroys Tyler's dominance. It is not violence for the sake of rebellion, but violence as a final rejection of denial. When Tyler disappears, the narrator is finally alone with himself. For the first time, there is no escape, no alternate identity, and no illusion of control. There is only accountability. This moment represents the film's core message. True freedom does not come from destroying the world. It comes from understanding yourself. The film ends with the narrator holding Marla's hand as financial buildings collapse in the distance. This final image is deliberately ambiguous. It can be interpreted as the destruction of debt, the collapse of corrupt systems, or the symbolic end of a false reality. However, the film does not celebrate this destruction. Instead, it shifts focus to the human connection in the foreground. The narrator does not stand alone. He chooses connection over isolation. He chooses responsibility over escape. Holding Marla's hand is more meaningful than the collapsing skyline behind them. It represents acceptance of imperfection, uncertainty, and emotional vulnerability. Fight Club refuses to provide clear answers. It does not tell the audience what to believe or how to live. Instead, it asks uncomfortable questions. What defines identity in a world obsessed with productivity? How much of who we are is shaped by systems we did not choose? And what happens when people are denied meaningful ways to express emotion? The film also challenges traditional ideas of masculinity. Many characters in Fight Club feel lost because they were taught to suppress emotion and measure worth through dominance. Fight Club initially appears to offer a solution, but it ultimately exposes the danger of replacing emotional repression with unchecked aggression. Neither extreme leads to fulfillment. Fight Club is available on Prime Video. It was a pleasure making this video for you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like so you don't miss the next videos. A big hug, and see you soon.